Hello, everyone, and welcome to People Deserve to Live. I'm Luam.
And I'm Shireen. Today we have a topic that weighs heavily on our hearts and on the hearts of millions. We are talking about Ukraine and Russia.
But we want to be very clear from the beginning. This is not a conversation about politics, not from the side of power and not from the side of arguments or blame.
No, today we are talking about people. Just people.
Because before any country name, before any flag, before any headline, there is a human being, a life, a story, a family.
Exactly. And it's so easy to lose sight of that. The news cycles are so fast, the numbers get so big, they become abstract.
They do. So today, let's try to make it real. Let's talk about who is really at the heart of this conflict.
Think about a mother in Kharkiv. She's trying to keep her child calm while sirens are sounding outside. She's humming a lullaby, but her voice is trembling. The child asks if the loud noises are thunder, and she says yes, just a big storm. Because how do you explain the sound of war to a 6-year-old?
Right. She's shielding them not just physically in a basement, but emotionally, with all the strength she has.
And think about an elderly man in a village near Bakhmut. He refuses to leave his home, even though the windows are broken and the streets are empty.
And people from the outside might not understand it. They'd say he's being stubborn.
But that house is where he and his wife raised their children. Her favorite flowers are still in the garden. Every corner holds a memory. Leaving for him feels like a second death, losing everything he's ever known.
That's his whole world. And then there's the young soldier on both sides of the line.
Yeah, before the war, he was studying at university, or working his first job, or falling in love. He wants to live. He wants to see his family again. He never imagined his life would become this cold, muddy trench.
And the children. There's a child who should be thinking about school, cartoons, friends, and football, who should be excited about their birthday party next week.
But instead, that child is learning the difference between the outgoing artillery and incoming missiles. They are learning about fear long before they've mastered multiplication tables.
That is a theft of childhood, an irreversible loss.
It is. And Shireen, this extends across the border too. There are also Russian families, mothers, fathers, wives, children, who are waiting for their sons to come home.
Absolutely. They receive a sealed letter and their world collapses. Some of them do not fully understand why their loved ones are gone. They're caught in a web of information and emotion. Some are afraid to speak. Some are grieving quietly in isolation.
A mother's grief is the same in any language. A wife's loss feels the same no matter what passport she holds.
And that brings us to a really crucial point. War does not only destroy buildings and infrastructure. We see those images on the news, the rubble and the smoke.
Right, but what it truly destroys is normal life.
Yes, it takes away the simple things people don't even think about until they lose them. Like sleeping peacefully through the night without being jolted awake by an air raid alarm, or eating a meal together as a family without the constant background anxiety, or walking your child to school and not having to wonder if that path is safe today. Visiting grandparents, planning a wedding, opening a small shop you've saved up for your whole life. All of these dreams, big and small, are put on hold or shattered completely. Even something as simple as just sitting in a park without fear, that becomes a luxury. And think about the economic ripple effects. A farmer who can't plant his fields not only loses his livelihood, but it affects the food supply for countless others. A teacher who flees her town leaves behind a classroom full of students whose education is suddenly halted. These aren't just individual tragedies. They are tears in the very fabric of society. And we see this so clearly with the displaced families in Ukraine. Millions have been forced from their homes, some left with only one bag. Think about that for a second. What would you even pack?
It's an impossible choice. Your child's favorite teddy bear or a first aid kit, your wedding album or the documents that might save your life at a border crossing. These are people who crossed borders not because they wanted a new life, but because staying meant danger. There's a huge difference. They are not chasing a dream. They are fleeing a nightmare. Imagine leaving your home and not knowing when or if you will return.
Imagine closing your door for the last time and wondering, will this house still be here when I come back? Will my street exist? My city?
That is not politics. That is a profound human pain.
But amidst all this pain, it's also incredibly important to talk about the resilience of the human spirit. Because even in the most horrific circumstances, we see astounding acts of courage and kindness.
And as we mentioned, in Russia, ordinary people are also living with fear and loss. Some families have lost sons, brothers, husbands. Some people fundamentally disagree with the war, but feel completely powerless.
And many do not speak because speaking can be dangerous. It can cost you your job, your freedom. So there is this heavy silence, this invisible weight that people carry.
Which leads to the invisible wounds. In every place touched by this war, people are carrying these deep, unseen scars.
A grandmother who misses the simple sound of her grandchildren laughing in the next room. That sound used to be her daily music, and now her home is silent.
A father who has to work in another country to send money back home, watching his children grow up on a tiny phone screen. He's providing for them, but he's missing their lives.
A nurse in a field hospital treating horrific wounds day after day while hiding her own exhaustion and fear. She has to be strong for everyone else, but who is there to comfort her?
A teacher trying to continue lessons in a bomb shelter, giving children a sliver of routine in a world of chaos.
And that child you mentioned earlier, the one who now draws pictures of tanks and soldiers instead of trees and sunshine, that's a profound change in a child's inner world.
And this trauma doesn't just disappear when the fighting stops. It can be passed down through generations. A child who experiences this level of fear may carry that anxiety for the rest of their life, affecting their relationships, their health, their ability to trust the world. A soldier who returns home may look fine on the outside, but is fighting a silent internal battle with what they've seen and done.
These are the stories we cannot forget. These are the truths that get buried under the headlines.
You know, sometimes the world talks about war like it's a game on a map. Who gained land? Who lost territory?
Exactly. Who has stronger weapons? Who has more power? It's discussed in terms of strategy and tactics.
But for ordinary people, war is not a game. It is the most brutal reality.
War is the night you cannot sleep because every noise outside makes your heart pound.
War is the phone call you are afraid to receive, the one that might carry the worst news of your life.
War is the empty chair at the dinner table that will never be filled again.
War is your child asking with the most heartbreaking innocence, when can we go home? And you don't have an answer.
And maybe the most painful thing, the deepest injustice is that so many people suffering in this war and in any war did not choose it.
Right. They did not sit in big rooms and make decisions about history and borders. They were just living their lives.
They woke up one day and their world had been changed forever by forces completely outside their control.
And this is why we say, with our whole hearts, people deserve to live.
Ukrainian people deserve to live.
Russian people deserve to live.
It's not a contradiction. It's a fundamental truth. Children deserve to live. Mothers deserve to live. Fathers deserve to live. The elderly deserve to live.
People deserve to wake up without fear. They deserve to love, to study, to work, to dream.
They deserve to build families and to grow old in peace. These are not radical ideas. This is the basic foundation of our shared humanity.
Which is why this episode is not about choosing hatred. It's never about that.
It is about choosing humanity every single time.
Because when we forget the people, when we let them become statistics, we become comfortable with suffering. It becomes something that happens over there to people who aren't like us.
We see the same images of destruction over and over, and a part of our brain starts to shut down to protect itself. It's a defense mechanism, but it's a dangerous one. It allows us to disconnect from the reality that for the people living it, it's not a looping video clip. It's their life. Every single minute of every single day.
But when we remember the people, when we look into their faces and hear their stories, we remember the truth.
And that truth is simple. No child should grow up under the shadow of bombs.
No mother should have to bury her child because of war.
No family should be broken apart by decisions they never made.
No person anywhere should be treated like just a number in the news.
So to everyone who has been affected by this war, the displaced, the grieving, the wounded, the scared, and the forgotten,
we see you. We hear you. Your life matters.
Your story matters.
And you deserve to live. Thank you for listening to People Deserve to Live.